So hello everybody and welcome to Office Hours for another topic session, and thank you for joining us. In these topic sessions we do a bit of show and tell as well as answering your questions, and today we're going to talk about, or our topic is making the most of list views. I think this one's going to be fun. Often clients that I work with don't really realize what list views are or how easy they are to use. I'm delighted to have the panel joining us, and especially a welcome to Jessica, who is joining Office Hours for the first time. It's great to have Emily and Sarah back with us. There we are. That's the slide. I'd just like to remind everybody that none of us work for Salesforce.org. These sessions are run by the Hub community, and we all volunteer our time and talents to share our Salesforce knowledge with you. So thank you very much, panel, for making the time to be with us today. If you have questions, please will you post them in the chat first. As I say, we are taking questions today about list views. Please put your questions in the chat. We'll either pause to answer them, or the presenters may weave them into their conversation as we go. Since there are a lot of you on the call, please would you mute your mic unless you're answering a question or sharing a tip, of course. And if you're not a presenter and you want to speak, if you could get my attention in the chat first, and then I'll call on you. And there, in a moment, I will mute a couple of people with some background noise. Okay, a brief idea of our agenda. I think we may start, Sarah, I'm going to put you on the spot first. I think we're going to start a little bit talking about things that you can do both in classic list views and Lightning. And particularly, I think you wanted to highlight inline editing. Then Emily's got some, wants to show us how you can use, in Lightning now, you can use charts and Kanban to make your list views even more impactful, perhaps, for fundraising. And then Jessica is going to tell us about a feature that I didn't really know very much about, which is split list views. And also, I think, Jessica, you wanted to talk about quick actions. So let's get started. But I think just very quickly, for anyone who might be kind of brand new to all of this, list views, aren't list views just reports? How do they differ? What's a list view? Anybody? And are they available all over Salesforce and in both versions? Anyone?
Are you asking us?
I'm asking you.
I'm happy to start with that. List views.
Yeah, just somebody.
List views are available in Classic and Lightning. They're great tools to get to filter on data for one object. Unlike reports, they don't do cross objects. And you know, it's kind of an on-the-fly way to kind of filter data to focus in on exactly what you need.
Perfect.
Perhaps others have more definitions to add to that, but that's my on-the-fly definition.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that point about the single object versus multiple object is perhaps one of them, the key ones, isn't it? Let's talk about, there are also, things that you can do with list views. So when we were talking about this before, Sarah, you said that you kind of use inline editing every day.
I do.
Yeah. Would you like to talk a little bit about inline editing? And we even have a question that is about inline editing as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the question
I love
is
inline editing.
The question is whether it's possible. Is inline editing only possible if the list view is specific to one record type? So.
And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. So the thing about inline editing is that if you have no record types on an object, then you can just use it. But if you have even one record type on an object, you actually have to filter by record type to be able to edit it, and it has to be a single record type.
Do you have something you want to show us, Sarah, or shall we keep going with?
Oh, sure.
Do you want to? Yeah, I'll make you.
Yeah,
sure.
I was just trying to find my headset. So I'm like holding my phone, but that's okay.
Well, otherwise you can talk me through. But I'm in lightning, and I know you
I'm
want
like
quite
poking with one finger. Yeah. Let me see if it's like in my bag quickly. Oh, here it is. All right.
Oh, okay. All right.
I know, Friday morning.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I mean,
no, that's fine. I usually don't use this. No, it's fine. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah. So I'm going to demo in Classic because I know that although, most new organizations right now are on Lightning, a lot of organizations that were around before a year or two ago are on Classic. So we'll look at Classic. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I was going to just do this with opportunities. So, and this is what a lot of people that I work with use it on. There are also a lot of other use cases on contacts and accounts that a lot of people use as well. But so here we just have my Trailhead organ. We just have some various bits of data here. And you can see that if I hover over these, there is no little edit crayon that comes up. And so I can't do any editing on this. And this is exactly because of what was asked about a moment ago, of whether or not you have to filter on record types. The answer is yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this view, and I'm going to actually filter by one of the record types that I just put in a moment ago, which if you're using NPSP, you would already have. And these are pretty much the fields that I think are, I would want to edit anyway, like maybe the stage, maybe the amount. You didn't used to be able to edit, let me change this. You didn't used to be able to edit close date or amount inline, but I did see recently that you could, so that was exciting.
And I also noticed there you did a save as, didn't you? That you did a save as there because, yeah, that's one of the things I've often done is I go and edit a record type and, a list view, and then it's all too easy to click save, and suddenly the original one's disappeared, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So, so what I just said is actually not true in Classic. Apparently, we can look at it in Lightning as well. But here you can see that now when I hover over these, there are crayons over them. So I can double click here and I can say this is actually this. This is not what the name was, and change it. And it's just changed. I'm actually, I think, going to switch back and forth between Lightning and Classic just to show you differences. So when you inline edit in Classic, it immediately takes place. There's no save button, it's just done. So you do have to be careful that what you're editing is something you actually are sure about. So for example, I might have just put in a batch of ops that I dated at a certain date and realized, oh shoot, that is not the actual date that they closed. I want to update these up here. So what you would do is you can do a number of things. You can always check the box up here that selects everything on the page, and you can see down here in yellow how many, well, unless it like hovers over this thing, that is one of the annoyances. It will go away hopefully soon. You can see down here in yellow that I have 50 selected, and you can also see to the left of that, I won't put my cursor on it, or it's just going to hover over another thing that'll cover it. But actually, let me do this. Come here. Actually, that's right. I won't do that. I wanted to, there. Let me just pull it up a bit so that way I can hover over it and it's not going to be a problem. So anyway, you can see here that I have 342 records. This is one of 50 of them, and it selected 50. You can also use the controls down here. So you can select the page, deselect the page, clear all selections. So I'm going to clear all the selections because I didn't actually mean to do that. You can also just uncheck the box up at the top, the select all box. I actually only wanted to, for these ones for 2018, these are just the ones that I wanted to change. So another nifty thing you can do is you can shift select them. Well, that's if you're on a, I think it's probably the same on a Mac, but on a PC, you can shift select them. So if I know that I want to do everything above this check mark, I can check the bottom and I can hold down shift and I can check the top and it will select all the ones in the middle. So now if I want to edit the close date, I double click on it. I can pick, like I meant to actually close it today, and it asks you if you want to apply your change to the record clicked or all 19. So this is one of my favorite things to do with list views is to bulk update with inline editing. So here I can say all 19 and I can save it and it's going to have updated the close date on all of these. Likewise, and now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to clear my selection. Likewise, you can just hunt and peck, right? You can kind of like choose these random things and these random things. And if I go in here, again, you can see it knows which ones I selected. The other nice thing about this is that if I select this page and I go to the next page, you can see it still knows my selection and I can select this too. So, and now I have 100 selected. You can do a max of 200. But that is nice that it remembers your selection across screens because there's a lot of other places in Salesforce where it does not do that. So that is another, that's another one of the nice things about this. One thing you will notice is that I cannot edit amount or stage here, but I can in Lightning now. So we can take a look at that. But that is one of the limitations specifically with opportunities, is that you can't update amount or stage, and you on no record can you update the owner. The owner always has to be changed in the individual record.
So a couple of questions. In order, is inline editing, is it just there and available, or do you have to enable it?
Oh, you say that, and then like the recesses of my mind, I feel like there's a setting that actually has to be checked. Is there one in like user interface or something?
Is it? Yes.
Enable inline editing. Oh, that was a tough question.
Well, it was us. There you go. Thank you, Scott. But is that Emily and Jessica? Is that true for Lightning as well, or is it just Classic you have to enable it?
I don't know. I've noticed that I haven't had to always go and check that box. Maybe for older organizations, but I don't think for newer organizations.
This is how you know the answer to that, right? Is that you check.
Okay.
Yeah, I spun up a dev org yesterday and I didn't have to. It was a sandbox and I didn't have to. But I'll check on that new sandbox.
No, that's great. Okay, so the answer may be, Scott, or to and Donna and everybody, is if you're in Classic and you can't, you're not able to inline edit. Obviously, the first thing to check is you haven't got multiple record types in the list view. We talked about that, and then the second thing is go into setup and see whether that box is checked. There you go. Oh, but Scott says mine is enabled, but it's still not showing in Classic. Record type issue, maybe.
Is he sure he's not? Yeah, multiple record types. Yeah, that's why. So, so here I turned it off. I unchecked that checkbox, and I'm in Lightning, and it is editable. So the answer is you do not need to check the checkbox for Lightning. You only need to check it for Classic.
Got it. Okay. And then somebody also, where are we? Mardi was just saying, oh yes, you were showing us, Sarah, about the sort of the selections and the number of records per page, and the pagination. She says that's not available in Lightning, and what a pain. Because even if you only have a few hundred records, it's still annoying.
And there's no question in my mind, and this is my own not sanctioned by office hours, very personal view, but the list controls for the list views in Lightning are much more unintuitive, I think, as well, because instead of on one page looking at everything in your list view, you have to click through like 4 different or 5 different places to do the same things that you would do in one. But that's just me. But I will say that being able to edit the stage in the list view for the ops in Lightning was pretty exciting, because my boss does not love Salesforce in general, and we're always trying to be like, no, look, it's great. And when he saw that he could edit that, he got pretty excited about it. So come on, View. Okay. So here, just to see, now you can see that there is like an edit crayon over stage here, and amount here, and the close date. Whereas in Classic, you couldn't inline edit the close date or the stage. So those are 2 things that you can do in Lightning that you couldn't do in Classic. But you're right, there's no kind of how many things per stage.
Got it. Sorry, somebody. Oh, that's better. Bill or Hallie, somebody was doing some dishes, it sounded like, as they were listening to Office Hours. Sorry about that, air traffic control. Yes, there's another suggestion from help desk that it may be that Scott may be trying to also edit the recently viewed list, which is one that you can't inline edit.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing to note is that you can also do kind of the shift selection here as well. I just did that in Lightning as well. So you can shift select groups, like big groups of records, also in Lightning. Cool.
That's fantastic. All right, Scott's come back and said it was definitely the record types. Great. I'm glad we sorted that one out. Thank you very much. I think we'll, in the interest of time, I think we'll move on.
Yeah.
Emily, we've been looking at the kind of the opportunities, but you just in a sort of straightforward list view, but you're quite sold on some of the Lightning features, and you had mentioned you liked using charts in list views. And
absolutely, I would love to share that. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now. Thank you.
Okay, great. It asked me a whole bunch of questions before I was sharing, and I just clicked yes, so I have no idea. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of list views. Actually, just before this call, I was creating a list view in our org to help me manage some of my team. I think I do it every day because it's just kind of this quick and easy way to see information that I need. So I had a couple examples for fundraising that I think are really powerful. So with Lightning, as Caroline mentioned, you can now have some charts on a list view, which is a new feature. And I think it's really helpful, not just for opportunities, but maybe, even if you think about account management and you want to see, location or kind of giving levels, most recent gifts, you can see all kinds of different breakdowns based on a chart. But similar to inline editing, you cannot put in any charts on your recently viewed list view. You have to have a custom list view in here in order to have this chart feature, which is grayed out on our recently viewed. And I hope you guys like all of my fake data that I put in here. I went on a little streak yesterday with The Little Mermaid. I got kind of excited about it. It's a movie that I haven't used for fake data before, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
That's a lot of fun. I wouldn't have necessarily got the context, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who would.
I figured I would just share it because I got really excited about it. And I remembered all these characters that I had never seen before. So let's look here at all opportunities. So this is a pretty simple list view. Our filters are visible over here, and it just says all opportunities. We can always adjust our filters here in Lightning, based on close date, record type, anything like that. And just like in Classic, we have our options to add filter logic. So really, that same functionality here, but we have our nice little chart. And you can do donut charts, vertical or horizontal bar charts, and you can sort by kind of the options that are visible here. So pipeline by fiscal period, pipeline by account, or pipeline by stage. And once we're in our chart, here we have our hover over, and our little gear icon also gives us some control over what type of chart we're seeing. So this is by stage, and that's pretty helpful. But one thing I also want to point out is that this is just, I'm just looking at all opportunities here. If we create a more customized list view, obviously it will show us different data in our chart. But if we display, instead of just in the table, if we display in Kanban, we see kind of a neat functionality here. And it's that our different record types get different tabs in Kanban. Our charts are still going to summarize the data from all opportunities. So that's just kind of an interesting thing that I want to point out. You may just be looking at major GIFs, but your chart is going to be showing all GIFs. So, when we're looking at stage, if you have a lot of different stages in your org, you may really want to filter on record type. And then pipeline by fiscal period, I think is really helpful. Oh, there's a bit of an echo. Can others hear that?
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's Bill, stop playing with your audio. Yes, Bill Florio, please stop playing with your audio. Okay. I'm afraid I'm blaming Bill again.
Pipeline by fiscal period.
Yeah, but now it's still feedback. He was like on the call 75 times or something. Try again.
Emily. Okay, we seem to
that sounds good.
Emily's. It's all right. We seem to have lost Emily's audio.
Oh. Caroline, you're like a mind reader superstar. She could probably just like continue the demo and you could just talk over it.
Hang on a minute. Let's send her, let's send her a chat. Emily, we lost your audio. Interesting. All right. Bill left and I think he took my audio. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Emily wasn't me. All right. Emily says she's on her way back again. Yes. Her audio is connecting. Yeah, it's interesting. She didn't leave the session. I mean, I'm kind of with you, Sarah, about the buttons, but actually those charts down the side in Lightning, that's quite, seeing the filters and things, that's quite neat.
Oh yeah, there are some nice things as well. As an administrator, I find it more cumbersome. As a user, there are definitely some nice things.
Sorry about that, all. Somehow I got kicked out of audio. It had to reconnect me.
Sorry about that. It seems to have happened with a couple of people just at that moment, and we're all blaming Bill Florio. So nice to have you back, Emily, and please carry
Great. I
on.
hope the conversation about charts was informative during that time.
We were just actually saying that, yeah, about seeing the charts and things like that at the side is one of the nice things about Lightning. And here we go. We have a question. So when you're creating the charts, what dictates how we can segment or what we can segment by?
That is a great question. I think I pulled up this information from Salesforce Help, but that was just on Kanban. So it's interesting. I don't fully know. I should have researched that. That's a great question. Sorry, if anyone else knows the answer to that question, I can look it up.
Jessica or Sarah, what dictates what you can use with the... Oh, okay, because the help desk who asked the question, sorry, help desk, we could give you a name, but I'm working on an opportunity list and I want to segment by the record type, but I seem to be unable to.
So for that, I would really go into reports. Mm-hmm. I think, it's kind of part of the limited functionality of list views in that there's only so much that you are able to filter on. Or I shouldn't say filter on, that you're able to group by. I would use a report for that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because are you grouping, your chart is by fiscal period. So obviously you can do some close date stuff, can't you? And I think you'd looked at stage before in a chart, hadn't you? So
yeah, so these are the options that appear is pipeline by fiscal period, pipeline by stage, and pipeline by account. So I'm trying to see if let me see if I can find that answer.
And meanwhile, Lisa had a question for anybody. She says, is it possible to customize the little yellow alert icon?
And that's a great question. I do know the answer to that. And no, you cannot. Let me just hover over this and I can show you. It says that there's no open activities for this opportunity. So that's what that yellow icon means. And so those alerts happen if there's overdue tasks, no open activities, or no activity within the last 30 days, and that alert is not customizable. So that's just a standard feature there.
Lisa says, thanks. Would it be different if there were open activities and things? Do you know?
Yes, if there were open activities, if there were, if any of those criteria were met, we would not see these little yellow dots or yellow alerts. But since this is just kind of mocked up data, I do not have that. And you can see here on our closed one, they're not there because they're in they're in a completed stage.
There's getting some love for Kanban here.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit. I'll circle back on that list view charts, and when the next person is presenting, I'll get an answer for that. I'm sorry, I don't have one right off the bat. But the real applicability that I see the Kanban for gift officers is the ability to do our moving, which I know everyone's seen this, but we can really see our totals changing kind of on the fly here, which is really powerful if you think about a development officer who's talking to many different donors about how things are working. In addition, we use this a lot. You can group this in our settings here. So our Kanban settings, you can summarize by different fields. And that is really helpful to just display the different amounts or the different information that you want in different ways. One thing that we do is we like to group it by owner. And this isn't going to show much because it's going to show it all under me as the owner. But if you can imagine a whole group of dev officers in one room, you can review kind of by owner, and that is helpful to kind of see how much each dev officer is working on, and you can change ownership from that board if you would like.
That's
that
very nice. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's just some of the use cases that I wanted to highlight. And if you had more opportunity record types here that you were using, each dev officer would see a different tab for each record type that they are managing opportunities in. So that's helpful for them to just segment that work a little bit. But each Kanban can only display 200 cards. So you do have some limitations there, but you can define what fields you want to display. So if there are custom fields or other standard fields that are more informative for your organization than what is selected by default, which is going to be name, amount, account, and close date, you can select those just in the settings. And let's see here. You can open up the edit pane from the card as well.
And I'm just thinking, going back to your context, Sandy, and your thing about the charts. I mean, maybe you said that you wanted to segment by record type, and it feels like this Kanban board actually could be a helpful way of doing it, because you can kind of see each. So then the chart kind of works per record type, doesn't it? But once you go into the Kanban view, you've got the ability to see the different record types there.
Yeah, the Kanban's going to show you per record type, but the chart, what your chart is going to show is actually all opportunities for the entire list view. So the chart's not going to filter based on record type.
Got it. And then Lisa was asking, in Kanban, can you hover? Can you see hover? Is there hover detail in Kanban?
It's just going to be the same. It's because the card is essentially displaying the hover. It's not going to show you much more, but you can click through to your opportunity.
Right.
But essentially the card, you can customize the card to have the 4 fields that you want. So that's going to show that.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions about Kanban and charts?
Oh, there were just 2 other quick things I wanted to mention. The kind of inline editing, so those mass action kind of things that were demoed before, that's not available in the Kanban view. So you can't do inline editing, but you can open it up to edit. You have this kind of edit option here. So you'll open up your full edit screen, but you can't do inline editing. And if a user doesn't have access to update a record, the card is going to be disabled. So if they can still view it, let's just go back to, I just want to go back to this one where we are sorting by stage. So if I have access to view opportunities, but I don't have access to edit them, the card, I won't have the ability to drag and drop the card from one stage to another. So that security setting kind of transposes into this functionality as well.
That's great. That's a really great point. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. So Great. Let's move on. And by all means, if you think if anyone thinks of more questions that they have, you can still put them in chat, and I'm sure Emily will see them. Jessica, so yes, we were chatting briefly about this idea of a split list view. And I think also you wanted to talk a little bit about actions, kind of other things you can do from list views. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
So I'll actually talk about quick actions in list views, because based on kind of what I'll show you there, it'll flow into using a split list view. So are you seeing my screen right now? Is it showing?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Great. So quick action. So everything I'll be showing, it's in Lightning experience only. Quick actions are Lightning experiences kind of answer to custom buttons that you might have around in classic Salesforce. So they just really allow you to, click a button and easily create a record with some pre-filled values. So, if you don't know what quick actions are, but you're on Lightning experience and on MPSP, you're very, very likely already seeing and using some quick actions already. For example, if I go onto a contact record, these buttons, new relationship and new affiliation, these are essentially quick actions. So they're a great way on record details to be able to create quickly, new affiliations and new relationships. But maybe a lesser known place that you can use quick actions is actually on a list view. So let's see, have here. I don't know if these quick actions are actually added by default onto list views, or if you have to explicitly do it. And I can show you how to create your own quick actions and add them to a page layout, a list view. But here you're seeing I'm on a contacts view. It's all contacts. And if I click over to this little drop-down menu, I see I have these actions to create a new relationship and a new affiliation. So this is a really great way, without having to click through every individual record and create relationship records for people, to just do it on a list view and do it quickly. So for example, if I know that Harry Potter and Ron Weasley are friends with Hermione, I can check them off, go over here and hit new relationship. And contact is going to be just the Harry Potter and Ron Weasley that I checked off. I'm going to say Hermione, and they are friends. And it's going to ask me if I want to perform this action on 2 records, just to make sure that's what I want to do. I'll hit OK. And that will have created relationship records. So if I go into Hermione's record, I would expect to see 2 relationship records created. So we'll see it right here. So I can imagine definitely creating some quick actions to easily create lots of tasks. So I can just show you how to do that really quickly. You would go into setup, and I'm going to go to my object manager. And let's say I want to be able to create a quick action to create task on opportunities. Click into here, and then I'm going to go to buttons, links, and actions. I'm going to click new action because we're creating quick actions. We're not creating buttons or links. And I'm going to want to create a record, but you'll see you also have a few other options. You could, mass log a call, send an email, but I'm just going to do a simple create record. I'm going to create a task. Let's just call it new task and hit save. Now, there are some limitations with quick actions that you can create on objects, and I'm not particularly well versed on some of the reasons why you can or cannot. I believe if you are trying to create a quick action on a child object to create another object that is the detail of two other objects, you can't do that. I don't know if that made any sense, but I can maybe try to find a concrete example of when you can't make a quick action. But that's a very specific case. I think in most cases, you shouldn't have a problem creating a quick action.
And it certainly is.
So I'm going to save that.
Works very well for things like tasks, doesn't it? And just kind of logging information. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can create probably lots of quick actions on tasks. There should be pretty much no problem with trying to do that. So I've created the quick action for a new task. So now I actually need to put it on the layout of the list view. So to do that, I'm still in opportunities. I'm going to click on search layouts. And I'm going to pull up my list view layout. I'm going to hit edit. And we'll see if I scroll down list view actions in Lightning Experience. I'm just going to pull that over. And it looks like MPSB actually also comes with a new payment quick action as well. But I'm just going to pull over the new task and hit save. So if I go to my opportunities list, and now let's say I just need to create a bunch of tasks just to give these donors a call for the donations they gave, I can do that with my new quick action, which is shown up here. And another thing is quick actions won't show up under the recently viewed list. So that's just kind of a small gotcha to remember that you have to be on a list view that is not the recently viewed to be able to see your quick action buttons.
Donna suggested a great use case if you're a major gift officer, that you could, if you have a list view with total gifts and various things available on your contact record, and then you could use it to create follow-up tasks, which is a really nice idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can, you created a very generic task, didn't you, Jessica? But there are values that you could fill in. You could make the task quite specific, couldn't you, if you wanted to, for a particular type of.
Exactly. Yeah, you could name this button new phone call, and then the subject could be phone call, and the description could be predefined. So that's kind of the real power of quick actions. Is you can pre-fill certain values on a quick action, so your end users aren't frustrated with always having to enter in kind of the same data over and over again. You can kind of streamline that data entry for them, so they just need to enter what they need to enter.
Very nice.
So I'm just gonna,
yes, you're getting some love for that too in the chat.
Great. All right, so I'm going to just mass create tasks for these 5 opportunities. And like we were saying before, I kind of breezed through it, but again, we could have pre-filled the subject line or the due date. And you can use formulas too. So this due date could have been today plus 1. So it's pretty flexible. I'm just gonna create this just to have it pretty generic. So if I go into the Cho-Chang donation, we've got a quick action. And if I went through all the other ones, you would have seen it. So this kind of transitions to the second thing that I wanted to highlight, which was split list views. So if you are in Lightning Experience and you have a task tab that you've been looking at, you may have already noticed this already. But I think it's a lesser known feature of list views in Lightning Experience. I know when Kanban came out, there's tons of oohs and ahs, but split views have been kind of flying under the radar. But split views, they are only available on console style apps. So maybe that's why they haven't been used as much, because console style apps are newer. But the one exception is they're available on tasks. So this is what a split list view looks like. You'll see it's basically a table list view minus the inline editing. And I'm able to go through multiple different list view kind of filters, or different list views. And if I click on them, it loads them on this screen. So this is a really great way if you have a list of records and, inline editing, you need to do something that's, not quite inline editing. You need to have more detail of the record to be able to edit, but at the same time, be able to go through it quickly without opening 5,000 different tabs. You can use a split list view. And then that will just pull out the records in this pane, you make your edits, and then you move on to the next record in your list view. So I mentioned...
I was sorry to interrupt you. Yes, so you said this is available on tasks. Otherwise, do you have to enable a console view to use it on any other objects? Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I'll just switch apps right now just to show you the console app, which again it's a pretty cool version of an app if you haven't been taking advantage of it. I've had a lot of clients that find it really useful, especially kind of in case management where they have lots of cases and they need to just quickly be able to access records and different related records in there. But I'm in the console app, and you'll see I'm in a split list view. And again, if I click on the record here, it's going to show up here. And then the added thing with a console app is you get a tab created for every record you go into. So really easy to kind of go back and forth. And if I were to choose another kind of object to go into, it's going to load up that list view on the left. So I can be looking at opportunities here. I can be looking at one object here, but have another object list view here. And then when I click on those are also tabs. And again, I can easily tab back and forth here.
It's nice. Yes. Yes, you're getting nice in there. Great. So interesting. Okay, so yes, that's to and the console app. Yeah. Okay, great. So is that the console app? Did you download or install that separately, or is it something you need to enable?
No, it comes with Lightning, and I can just quickly show you where to do it. So same place where you create your apps in Lightning. If this loads, there we go. You're going to go to your app manager, and you're going to click on New Lightning App. I'm just going to breeze through. So the second step, it's going to ask you what your navigation style is. And here's where you would choose the standard navigation, which is what you're used to in Salesforce with all the tabs across the top, or you can choose the console navigation. And then you can just go through and do the rest of the steps. Once you create it as a console app, you can't change it over to a standard and vice versa. So I just want to make sure that you made the decision right the first time, because you can't go back and change it.
That's a good one.
You can do the same in Classic as well.
Yes.
Got it.
You can have console views in Classic too. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you for that. Any more questions from anybody just about what we're looking at the moment? Emily, so you said you'd found some information about grouping in charts.
I did. And what I was showing was just kind of the default options that if you say, I'd like to create a chart off of my list view, though there's just going to be some default options that are available to you. But you can create a new chart. Let me just see if I can. Well, what you would do is on the gear setting, when you're creating a chart, instead of just selecting one of the options that's available, you can select create a new chart. And then you give the chart a name, you select the type, you can define the aggregate type, so whether it's a count, an average, or a sum. And then you have aggregate fields and grouping fields. So there's a lot more functionality there than I even knew about until someone asked that question. So I really appreciate it. I really just liked the default options that were available, but you can create new chart options, and then they're available across that object whenever you go to create a chart off of a list view for that object. So if you create a new chart that is, opportunities, counting opportunities by record type, aggregating by amount, then that's available for any of your list views.
Nice. That's very nice. Trish had a comment, I think, than a question, which goes back to Jessica, noting that you had the same app in each kind of view. I think, is that, Trish, are you getting at that, or is it true, Jessica, that you've got a sort of the standard view for each, your app? You've got a console app and you've got a sort of standard one. Is that right? Is that what Trish means?
Yeah, I just did that for demo purposes, but I don't know if you necessarily would want to have kind of the same tabs, but with two different apps, standard and the console, because I think they're really meant for different purposes. And I would probably steer people towards using a console app if maybe they have some users that only need to access a couple of objects. Because the drop down list, the longer it gets, it's just going to be harder to kind of go through those. It's not as easy. At a certain point, it's not going to be as easy as having the tabs across the top.
Yeah, I have a client who does a telephone fundraising campaign, and the people who are calling, we used a console view for them because we could make it very limited just to, with the page layouts and everything else, just the sort of what they needed to see for the opportunities for the fundraising they were doing, and it works really well. And all the other many custom objects and things that this client has are it's all hidden, so that they can just focus on what they need to do. Yeah,
exactly.
Great, thank you for that. Does anyone have any other questions for our panel or comments? Panel, is there anything else that you'd like to share that you haven't already in these great demos? Okay. Lisa's going back to the hover detail and wants to know about customizing it. Anybody, where you customize the hover detail? So I think, Emily, you'd said that on those cards, there are the sort of, in the Kanban view, there were the 4 fields, and you could set those up as part of the view. Is that right? And then when you're hovering over records generally, I think, is Lisa, are you meaning which fields you can see?
So in Kanban, yes, you can select which 4 fields are visible on that. And I believe the hover over layout, that's going to be, that's just a different setup in your page layouts that you can define.
I think it may be the compact layout.
Yeah.
That could be one.
I think I was going to say the mini page layout. So I think compact sounds right to me.
Mini in classic and compact in Lex. All right. The way that things change. Okay, so yes, for this sort of hover detail, there's a different place to set it up, or a different page layout to set it up. So yes, have a look at compacts and minis. Okay, great, thank you. other questions? Well, thank you, Pat. This is great. I've learned some things too about list views. I thought I knew all about list views, and it's interesting when we have conversations like this. Some more tricks. There are some more tricks that you find out as well, and it's interesting to see how much is being added in Lightning. I think there's kind of, it feels like list views are being turned into an even more useful tool and getting more features in the Lightning layout. But as you say, Sarah, Lightning is much more kind of about the usability, and it may be a bit more of a pain to set up, or to administer, but it certainly gives a lot more information to users.
Indeed.
Great. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I will start to wind this session up. So it's been a little quieter than sometimes, but I appreciate that it's just before a holiday. So again, thank you everybody for making the time.